Professional foot fetishist. Sorry.
Oh, God. Kill Bill is a special place in many people's hearts. We just rewatched it with the whole bloody affair that came out. And I gotta say, all of our praise that went to Tarantino for his use of pastiche, his use of collage, this is the movie where it goes too far.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's do that quick summary you always do, Monty.
4.5 hours. But by the way, the whole bloody affair is apparently the way that Tarantino.
That's the
wanted
worst
to
part,
release it.
Monty. Do you want to know the worst part?
correct.
Is I thought this was like a cynical cash in to get people to watch the film again, or you're trying to retcon the film. When I looked it up, that apparently he originally wanted it as one massive film, and then they were sort of like, "Look, unless you're going to take loads of scenes out, this can't happen. It has to be 2 films." I thought that was just some shit he like lied about because they made him. Apparently the worst. That is actually might be the most egregious thing, Monty. This film actually probably worked better as 2 separate films that you don't watch back to back. Like, because actually, as a full 4.5 hours, I made the obvious reference. It's the most famous long film ever. He thinks this is Lawrence of Arabia, mate. He thinks you're going to sit through this whole thing and go, holy fuck. Well, I did go holy fuck, but not for the reasons you're thinking, mate. Like, this is fucking, I'll tell you one of the worst crime of all. Because it's so long, it's actually boring at times, mate. Which I'd never thought I'd ever say about a Tarantino film.
So I just for context for this episode, I watched as it was released, first episode, second episode as one film, but it was released in 2 parts theatrically. Tarantino has always counted it as one film because otherwise he would have done the number of films he said he was going to do
10 or whatever, right?
and walk away. Yeah, exactly. But then what happened last summer? No, it was December. Yeah, it was December. So this December just gone, they said we're releasing the cut as intended by Tarantino. And you have to remember, when you get into this world of fucking director's cuts, I just think to myself, is the director's cut not the one we fucking paid to see at the time in 2004? Is that not the director? You were the director. It was your fucking name on the film. So I've always hated the concept of a director's cut, unless it's like some unbelievable, studio interference. Like, for example, love the extended editions of Lord of the Rings. Think that's the optimal way to watch it, right? Because it adds another 30 or 40 minutes to the fucking movie. The reason they cut those movies down was because they were worried about audience's attention span.
They were already very long.
Yeah, they were already 2.5 hours plus, right?
Three hours, I think, in some cases.
Yeah, exactly. So I get that, right? But I think the extended editions are the best way to watch the film, especially if you're Christopher Lee, right? Because your entire story arc just gets cut out of the third movie in a baffling move by Peter Jackson that no one's ever really held him accountable for. Now, with Kill Bill, you had 2 movies. You had 2 fucking movies. So the director's cut has to be the concession that you release 2 films. Now, I remember at the time, right, spoiler, I liked Kill Bill at the time.
Sure.
Young me, 22 years old.
I was 18 when this movie came out,
right?
and I thought it was fucking awesome.
The first one especially was pretty cool.
Think about it. Okay, so let's put it in context of the time. Tarantino's on an all-time high. Teenage me was watching Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Jackie Brown. I love this stuff. I also watched a ton of like kung fu and wuxia movies from China that he's riffing. So of course I'm going to love this thing that comes out because I'm a kid and this is what I'm watching at the time. But I think now in retrospect, this has aged not great.
No, I mean, look, right. So one of the reasons I like Tarantino is he's seen a bunch of movies that you haven't. And he references them in the movies he makes to make you go and watch these movies. Where that isn't cool is if you have seen the movies, and where that becomes even less cool is if the movies aren't even that obscure. That's Kill Bill's greatest sin. You're riffing Game of Death, motherfucker. Who hasn't seen this? Bruce Lee made a handful of movies before he fucking died. We've seen them all. right? So that's problem number one. Problem number two as well is like, fuck me. If you're going to steal from movies, it can't be whole cloth. It's got to be a little bit here and there. Like this movie, like, I mean, well, it's like you said on the last episode, like Lady Snowblood is what how much of the first movie is that?
No, it's all of the first movie, basically.
Yeah, right.
And it's also, so Lady Snowblood, guys, is a 1970s Japanese film. And we actually have an episode on that on this channel as part of the lead-in to Ghost of Yote. Doa and I did a bunch of samurai cinema. And Doa literally said he had not seen this movie. He literally texted me.
That's crazy.
I know. But he literally texted me after he watched it. He said, "This might be the best movie I've ever seen."
It fucking rules, dude. It actually rules.
The movie owns, and especially for the 70s, it was really unique at the time because many of the aspects that you see, so first off, it came from a manga, so it came from a graphic novel, and many of the aspects that you see in Kill Bill that seem really modern were actually used 30 plus years earlier, such as the dividing between chapters, the highly stylized title sequencing. He literally takes the song Flower of Carnage, which is the song of Lady Snowblood that is sung by the actress who plays Lady Snowblood, and it's the whole female assassin arc. It's the revenge arc. It's crossing the names off the list. It's,
I'm just going to show Duncan something just in case he isn't aware of how hacky Kill Bill and Lady Snowblood is. I've just sent you I've just sent you the cover. The promotional
it's even just the shot. So like, her looking, the shot of her looking up at the assassins within the chapel is taken basically from Lady Snowblood. And so we talk a lot about this in that Lady Snowblood episode. If you want to go watch that, is my point. But Lady Snowblood is an absolute mega banger. And
bro, better than this.
It's so good.
I know exactly what you mean as well, because I'll give you a quick analogy. There used to be a problem, and Rich will appreciate this, right? Back in CS frag movies, before YouTube was massive and people saw all the clips and there was all the VODs, etc. One of the best ways to find out how good a player was is someone made a cool highlight reel of their best kills, etc. And famously, also a big deal was the soundtrack, right? And I always used to say it actually taught me so much about how people misunderstand the difference between inspiration and plagiarism. Because here's what people would do, Monty. People who themselves were like up-and-coming movie makers who wanted to make a frag movie would watch a great frag movie and they'd hear an awesome soundtrack that worked with the clip. And instead of thinking, what is it that inspires me? What emotion did they capture? What did they do? They would mistake it and just go, oh, I'm just going to use that song. And they'd take the exact same song from the other frag movie and just do it in theirs. And you'd go, but you're just making a worse version of it. That's the problem with this film. If we talked on those episodes of Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction about how Tarantino like masterfully pastiches together things of other things, or he takes things that you never would ever watch, like Richard said, you never would go and do your homework and watch some obscure blaxploitation films. He takes the best part of it and even uses it to a different end. In this case, all you've done is just copy it and just steal the same thing. Like, I don't even really understand what like you've added by putting it in your film, because as you say, he's also doing it for some pretty famous films, especially the Bruce Lee ones are egregious.
Yeah, I mean,
and then all the Pai Mei stuff in the second part and the fucking kung fu. Mate, you just directly jacking stuff where it's like, and it's, do you even get it yourself?
It's also that what I will say about this film is that if you actually go back and watch the original source material, a lot of the movies that are directly referenced in this are just extremely good films that you should absolutely watch that maybe you haven't heard of because they're kung fu films from the 60s and 70s and 80s, right? Yeah. And that's awesome, and that's an extremely good part about this film. But if you have seen these movies, it's really tough. If you've seen anime, if you've seen the kind of anime that, like the peak animes that we think of, like Akira or Ghost in the Shell, like these that he's riffing off of even in the anime sequences, it's basically just a worse version of all of this, which is what's so disappointing.
Yeah. And like I say, so the other ones he steals from quite ridiculously. Obviously, the aesthetic is Game of Death and Lady Snowblood, and scenes lifted entirely from Lady Snowblood, which, as I said, is a much better movie. But also the version of Lone Wolf and Cub that we saw, which was obviously a packaged version called Shogun Assassin.
It was an edit of the first two Lone Wolf. Also, by the way, guys, Lone Wolf and Cub: Sword of Vengeance is another movie Noah and I did. So you can check that out as well. But yes, it was the
got the complete set of the Baby Cart movies. Fucking love all of those. And obviously, yeah, they are great. I mean, that's what they made the fucking that Star Wars garbage out of, with the little green dude. He's just the baby, isn't he? The fucking what's it called?
Mandalorian.
Yeah, it's the Mandalorian. What's the
name? What's he called?
Grogu.
I
haven't seen
Grogu.
Mandalorian. I haven't seen Mandalorian.
Yeah,
so
Grogu is the
baby.
Basically. Yeah, it's trash. It's absolute garbage. The other movie it borrows quite heavily from, this is my wheelhouse as a spaghetti Western aficionado. There's a 1967 movie called Death Rides a Horse. It's Lee Van Cleef. And the whole mentor, the brutal, cruel mentor with the young and upcoming person, but does he care secretly? Does he not? That's the whole Pai Mei thing, in this.
That also comes from Lady Snowblood.
Yeah, and which also comes from Lady Snowblood as well. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, this is the problem that there was, right? You have to understand, we've skipped a movie, right, to try and encompass as much of the good and bad of Tarantino. What we've done is we've jumped a movie, the masterful Jackie Brown, where if we'd done that, we're 3 and 3. But what we've done is we've gone ahead, and I knew this was going to be the problematic movie, which is why I wanted to include it. Now, I remember it being a lot better than this, but it is in fact not better. This is what happens when you are given too much leeway, and you are allowed to do whatever you want and reference whatever you want and steal with impunity. And let's also be clear as well. He front loads the movie. Tarantino has said in interviews, if there was one movie he wished he directed, it was Battle Royale, right? Which is obviously...
And by the way, the whole bloody affair is dedicated to the director of Battle Royale.
Yes. And obviously... there's references to Battle Royale in
literally the
movie.
same actress in a schoolgirl outfit.
Correct.
Hi.
And look, this is all fine, right? In moderation, but there is no moderation within this film. It is ultimately, I mean, I remember as well, I remember being sat there in the cinema, and I say this as somebody that I'm not an anime fan. I'm not a weeaboo. Right, like, I'm not an anime guy, but I grew up in what I consider to be the golden age of anime before it became teenage protagonist slop. Duncan and I were blessed as UK kids because if you stayed up late to watch Channel 4, you got Akira, you got Ninja Scroll, you got Ghost in the Shell. You know,
by the way, that arc is coming, guys. That arc
is. By the way, Rich is totally right. The joke is, I actually started way earlier than everyone else, not getting enough sleep each day. Because as he says, you had to stay up past about like 10 or midnight because they just put any old shite on Channel 4, like the Smalls channel. That
Aeon Flux was another one.
But it was mad addictive because it was like they were just fucking pumping this shit in your brain.
It's ultimately it's the reason I'm the way I am. Right, it's the only way I can explain it, because we couldn't afford a TV growing up, so when we got one, it was a huge novelty. And so when my mother was asleep, I would sneak downstairs, and this is like past bedtime. On the 10 o'clock, as again, Monty, you won't understand this, but TV turned off in the UK when we were growing up. It would literally play the national anthem, and then there was nothing on TV. It was just off.
To be fair, in America, there were just infomercials at like 2 a.m.
Yeah,
we had a black
screen.
It's also why actually British kids of our era know more about your culture, Monty.
Yeah.
Because also early in the morning when kids would get up at 4 and 5, they'd put on like
the
cheap American cartoons and shit, like weird ones that you'd never even have normally sent to the UK. They just put that on as filler, basically.
Yeah. So ultimately, I would sneak down, and there was a TV show. It was called like. It was a riff on the incredibly strange creatures that stopped living and became mixed up zombies. That is the title of a movie, by the way. And it was a horror musical, and the Channel 4 made a version of this. It was put out by Channel was like Channel X was the production team, and it was Jonathan Ross, and at 10 o'clock to midnight, you would get a 30-minute summary of like a director's career and then one of his films. And typically this would be Sam Raimi. I saw Evil Dead this way. It would be a Godzilla movie. You know, you would see the Tojo fucking studio stuff. So Toho, sorry. And you know, so there was late night kung fu, late night crazy stuff. It would just be on there. And so ultimately, the reason that I'm attuned to all of this stuff and enjoy this stuff is because of that, right? But then the problem you have, if you're going to try and trick me by referencing this shit in your big budget movie, it better be a deep cut, motherfucker, because I've seen it. And this was the problem I had with The Matrix. It was, you heard me wax for ages about how there's just better movies that did the exact same scenes. That's all of Kill Bill. That's all of Kill Bill. Kill Bill has been done better.
I was actually surprised,
times.
as I said before we recorded this episode, I was actually surprised that you yourself came with that take, because actually, since we very recently did the Matrix episode, I was even thinking when I watched Kill Bill, wait a minute, Richard's better into Tarantino. This is all the complaints he had about the Matrix, making all the other shit.
Don't you worry. Mama didn't raise no fools.
Tarantino did it himself.
Well,
Mama didn't raise no fools. Your gods, by the way.
It's also just it's overstuffed. Like what it's trying to do is too many different things, which is it is simultaneously an homage. Like the problem is there's too many genres in this, and it doesn't do anything clever with the genres. As in, sure, there's plenty of crossover, famously between samurai films and westerns, right? The Kurosawa movies were bouncing over the Pacific and being turned into A Fistful of Dollars and The Magnificent Seven, right? And so, but there is a core there that could be interesting. Is Tarantino going to do something interesting by saying, here's a reinterpretation of Asian cinema or an Asian film in a Western trope? But unfortunately, the answer is no. And honestly, there's the Asian bits and there's the Western bits, and they don't really have a lot of crossover. So it just feels weird because it's like two genres not interacting with each other. It's two genres running in parallel, where the first film is very much a kung fu movie, basically. And there's kung fu elements, obviously, in part two with the Pai Mei stuff and the training montages. But most of the second one is just kind
all
of
it
Western.
lifted from 36 Chambers, of course.
Yes. Which,
also,
by the
remember,
way,
here's the other reason why you haven't even attempted to hide any of it. Bro, you've literally got David Carradine in the film. You obviously loved Kung Fu, the series, didn't you? Like, it's absurd.
I know. I mean, it really is. And like, look, here's the other problem that it had. As released, right, you have one movie, which is ultimately a very derivative martial arts revenge wuxia with an anime sequence tagged on that, like I say, when I watched it in the cinema, I was like, meh. Everyone was raving about it at the time. They were going,
and then in the whole bloody affair, they added a second anime sequence, which adds literally nothing to the movie.
No. And unfortunately, the second movie is just motherfuckers talking. Most of it in a trailer. You're like, I mean, you know, it's Michael Madsen. It's Michael Madsen and that broad with fucking one eye.
Daryl Hannah.
Kind of horrible.
Daryl Hannah, whatever. Fucking point me, no eyes by the end, of course.
By the way, don't you find essentially the second film as well? What I find so weird is that is the most like he himself was copying Quentin Tarantino from the past. Like he's tried to make this like multiple character on. So here's another thing: even though some of the cast people, like I like David Carradine, I like fucking Michael Madsen.
True,
they're not particularly interesting characters to me. Like,
no.
What's sad is whereas before his characters have like layers, these are very one note for me, mate. Like, look, these are almost like characters in a video game that you do one scene with or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like the dialogue, which has to carry a lot of the second movie, because ultimately what it's about is she gets caught and buried alive, and then we get a montage of her training to explain the deus ex machina of how she gets out of the grave. How unbelievably self-indulgent is that, by the way? Like, to dedicate an entire, like, third.
It's really long as well. Yeah.
A third of the film to explain a Deus Ex Machina that absolutely doesn't need to be explained. It's so self-indulgent and over the top. But the problem is the dialogue is, for want of a better phrase, pure fucking AIDS. Like, just absolute kill you quick AIDS, turbo AIDS, 80s AIDS, New York subway AIDS. I can't express it enough how bad it is. Like, that Superman speech is obviously the famous one that everyone fucking... It's just out of place in the movie.
When Superman wakes up in the morning, he's Superman. His alter ego is Clark Kent. His outfit with the big red S, that's the blanket he was wrapped in as a baby when the Kents found him. Those are his clothes. What Kent wears, the glasses, the business suit, that's the costume. That's the costume Superman wears to blend in with us. Clark Kent is how Superman views us. And what are the characteristics of Clark Kent? He's weak. He's unsure of himself. He's a coward. Clark Kent is Superman's critique on the whole human race.
Like, I remember before I went...
Which, by the way, in itself is Tarantino copying Tarantino. Because when he makes those speeches in the early films, they're all iconic, mega, on the point, insightful commentary. By the way, I can tell you as a fan of Superman, it's just even wrong. It's just flat. Even though it's, if you don't, it's like sophistry. Because if you don't know the facts, you'll think he makes a really interesting, like, you know, fucking shriveling, withering take on humanity. He does it. He's just wrong. Like, if you don't know the character of Superman, the whole point of why he's Superman is that he was raised by his parents on the farm in Kansas, and he is a farm boy. And if anything, he puts on the sheen of being Superman as a way to protect him. It's the other way around. It's actually the opposite of what you say in this film. Even though you're supposed to be making that speech be the big, like, emotional core of this film. Because I'll tell you another thing I hate about the second half. Even though I like David Carradine and some of his speeches aren't bad, another thing I really don't get, and it makes the movie not work for me, is remember 3/4 of the movie are this, like, revenge fantasy played out by the bride. And at the end, she herself loves the fucking David Carradine character, Bill, and sort of is sad that he's that. Like, what? I can't go on that part of the journey. I don't get that part of the journey. I find it so bizarre. I even thought when they revealed, like, the daughter initially, that would make, like, the ending super epic. Like, she's, like, fucking still loves this guy. Like, what is the premise of this film? I don't get it.
I mean, that's the other problem with the film.
It doesn't land for me, you know?
Yeah. It's like, look, he's not good looking enough or charismatic enough to sell that he could treat her as monstrously as he has. Let's be clear, on their wedding day, while pregnant, kills her, leaves her for dead, and she is in a coma in a hospital getting raped in her sleep because it's Tarantino, so it had to be that shocking. I'm Buck and I'm down to fuck. Like,
my name is Buck and I'm here to fuck.
What is happening?
I'm here to fuck.
Sorry, my bad. Don't want to misquote Buck while Monty's around.
But it also just feels exactly like Pulp Fiction, where he, in the same way that Bruce Willis takes Zed's chopper, she takes the pussy wagon. I'm like, I literally just saw this in Pulp Fiction. It's the same trope. Here's the cool ride that the weird rapey guy had, and I'm going to take it now. It's like, it's just the same beats. And I'm like, why are we doing this again?
Well, it's different this time because, you know, he's got that scene, hasn't he, where it's like her coos can get as dry as a bucket of sand. So use this shitty tub of Vaseline.
Also, by the way, since obviously we're mainly just talking about the films, some of the rare things they added, well, one of the scenes, right, is an example of where you always have to be careful what you wish for. So in the original Kill Bill, one of the weird parts actually is they build up Bill, but you don't really ever get to see him do anything until the end of the film. In this one, they give you a flashback of how he was super cool with the katana and that. Not really as cool as you'd hope it would be.
No.
You know? Actually, I can see why they cut that scene, unfortunately, where he has that, like, street fight with that guy. Like, that you think that's going to be the most dope shit ever. It doesn't. That also doesn't really land, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was in his 70s, so late 60s when he made it.
It's totally not believable at all either.
That's the reason it doesn't land, though, is because it feels unrealistic that she would be in a relationship with a man this much older. He is constantly referred to as this badass to the degree that Hattori Hanzo feels guilt that, by the way, never explained why he wants to make this sword because of what Bill did. What did Bill do? We don't know. Bill's supposed to be this epic warrior himself. Never see it, really. Like, what the mystique around Bill is built, but there's nothing we ever actually see. Yeah. There's nothing we ever see.
Well, all of the mistake they try and build in the second movie with him just talking shit.
Yep.
Like
there's just a million scenes of him going, "Now, kiddo, hey, Beatrix Kiddo, get out my face already."
I know, and it's like, look, I get it. You're cool. You did die masturbating with a belt round your neck, so you're way cooler than me, David Carradine. But in this movie, none of that is on display. Like none of his coolness is on display at all. It's just him talking shit to a woman who is inexplicably enamored with him, despite the fact he's done atrocious things. And it's he just goes on and on and on and on and on.
I'll tell you a random detail as well, right, that no one else will probably put together, but this is one thing I would just say to Tarantino, right? Tarantino himself famously doesn't like True Romance and Natural Born Killers, right? True. So he thinks they're like, took his material and did things. Well, famously in Natural Born Killers, one of the media experiments it does is have an anime sequence, doesn't it? You just copied that yourself, Leah!
True.
That arguably works better because it's so short in the fucking Natural Born Killers. You just did like a whole sequence of that. Like, again, that's one of those ideas, by the way, that sounds like it could be brilliant. It's not really that well executed. It's just all right. You know?
And even that is somewhat derivative of Lady Snowblood because, well, it's not like there's an anime sequence in Lady Snowblood, let's be clear, but there is a major plot line where Lady Snowblood is being the character. It falls in love with this guy who's writing writing fictional versions of her that are being published to people within the world of the story. So he just took that idea and put it on screen, basically, right?
Yeah.
And it's so naked in terms of its source material. Like, basically what happens is at the very start of the film, you see the Shaw Brothers logo. And this is one of those things about postmodernity where the Shaw Brothers logo, the Shaw Brothers was a production company that was in Hong Kong, and they operated from the 50s into the 80s. And they made a ton of really, really great movies.
It's time to
they made a ton of really great movies, but they derived their logo off of the Warner Brothers shield, right? So they were trying to mimic Warner Brothers in terms of visual design. And then Quentin Tarantino takes that. So now we have like the copy of the copy thing going on again, and it gets put up. But anybody who has seen these movies will recognize instantly the Shaw Brothers, the Shaw Brothers intro. And that is exactly what this film is. And unfortunately, now Lady Snowblood is a Japanese film, so it's not Lady Snowblood. But Shaw Brothers, this film takes very explicitly from the two films that came up to me most were Come Drink With Me from the 1960s, which is another female protagonist, deadly female movie, and also the restaurant scene in Kill Bill where she fights the Crazy 88 is somewhat reminiscent of the wuxia scene from Come Drink With Me that was really groundbreaking at the time. But also, as Richard mentioned earlier, the 36th Chamber of Shaolin, which is Gordon Liu, who is the guy who plays both the leader of the Crazy 88 and Pai Mei. And it's almost like, I think the Pai Mei stuff is incredibly extraneous in this film because it doesn't do anything besides make you laugh. But the whole point is he wants to reference the 36th Chamber of Shaolin, which I watched after I watched Kill Bill, and it is a mega banger still. I hadn't seen it again in like 20 years. And the whole thing about the 36th Chamber of Shaolin is that it's a training montage movie. The whole movie is just a training sequence, and he tries to mimic this within the film, but it's like a million times worse with the same actor. So now, it's just frustrating. It's very frustrating to watch.
Because I am pretentious film wanker, I have all of the volumes of Shaw Scope, the collection of the Shaw Blu-ray movies, which I meant to bring up before we started this episode. But just to show you how derivative this is. And this is an archetype, so it's by no means just from this movie. It's an archetype that comes up again. This is executioners from Shaolin. Have a look at this guy. Can you see him?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. That's it. That's interesting. No one has ever seen this before.
is a trope. But also, the other movie that Shaw made was The Five Deadly Venoms, which again, then you have then you have The Five Venoms, and it's called The Five Deadly Venoms. And
it is correct.
Yeah.
And also this is on a double disc with the far superior movie Crippled Avengers, which is
I haven't seen that one.
Exactly what you think it is. If you want to see people with no arms and no legs doing kung fu, I got you hooked up, bro.
The Five Deadly Venoms is where they stole the five assassin, the Deadly Viper.
That is a fucking classic. That is
by the way,
really
watch the Five Deadly Venoms because it's about a guy hunting down 5 different kung fu masters who all have different animal styles. It is sick.
Yeah. Correct.
But
actually
the problem is
amazing.
If you've seen all of these movies, when you watch Kill Bill, unfortunately, you are just reminded that all of these movies are better than Kill Bill. That's the core issue.
I mean, it really is the Matrix all over again for me, unfortunately, in the sense that the only difference was I thought the Matrix was shit going into the rewatch.
I think the Matrix at least has as a cool sci-fi twist to it. The thing is, the premise of the Matrix,
the Matrix gets you in and out compared to this. Because remember, I've had to watch 2 movies to do this episode.
Well, as you say earlier, the other problem as well is this is one of the few movies where the dialogue of Tarantino's isn't that good.
Yeah,
normally
exactly.
It's so arresting. Yeah. I'll forgive so much.
Yeah.
It's also not doing a good job going between the action sequences.
Yeah, correct. It's all that's the thing. It's like in his desire to kind of be Tarantino, he comes across as almost a parody of himself, in this movie.
Because the dialogue that was in films like Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs is what we like about it is that it's Tarantino's interesting observations on everyday life and pop culture and the casual talk that these characters are having. That doesn't exist in Kill Bill. What it does is it just bounces forward constantly at very quick pace into more references to other films that you may have already seen. So while the pastiche is part of his charm, what knitted together all of the references was these really compelling conversations that are entirely or almost entirely absent up until the Bill's Superman speech, which is compelling, but we have to wait 4 hours to get to that point.
And honestly, the action, it just is what those movies did 30, 40 years ago. It's I remember a lot of people at the time were because people hadn't seen these types of films. I mean, this goes back to fucking, it's even pre-Kurosawa, the way that they did blood in samurai films with the big spurt.
Yeah, the famous from Sanjuro, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously that's the classic with the ending of the, everywhere. Right? But I mean, yeah, as I say, it's pre-Kurosawa because they used, what's the name of that theater? Not Kabuki, the other one?
No.
Right? Yes. No. Right? That one. They used to
theater,
do it.
My God.
Yeah, they used to do it with the ribbons. Right?
Yeah.
See?
And Bunraku as well, which was the puppet theater.
So that was the way the blood was always pronounced because it gave you a nice little pregnant pause in a fight, a way to build up dramatic tension. People would move past each other. Who's been cut? We don't know. And then the blood would piss out you like that, and it was a way of building tension.
By the way, how long is that scene in the fucking Lucy Liu one? It's mental, so long, that part.
And bro, before it even gets to a walking around barefoot in the snow, before we even get there, right? Right. Also, as well, right? What is the point of calling the gang the Crazy 88 and then explicitly in the script saying there's not 88 of them? By the way.
They just thought it sounded cool.
That's
literally the explanation.
What is the point of that? Make 88 of them.
No,
Especially if she kills 88 people, it feels like. Why?
Yeah.
What are we doing, Quentin?
When you watch it, you don't think she doesn't kill 88 people because that scene goes on forever.
Mm.
But there's also there's so much stuff. Like I said, cut the Pai Mei sequence because it's not just the Pai Mei sequence. It's the sequence around the campfire that leads up to the Pai Mei sequence.
You can have one montage with Pai Mei. You can have one montage and it's fine.
And also, it should have been earlier in the movie so we could see how much of a badass she is.
It's just nice for Gordon Liu gets 2 pieces of work. Because he gets to play a Pai Mei and he's one of the crazy idiots.
To your point, Richard, about you've seen this action before, I would beg you guys to go watch the 36th Chamber of Shaolin and see how incredible the action is in that. And this was a movie that was made in the 1970s. And the fact that the coordination and the choreography are mind-boggling.
The training sequences in that are unreal. Like, They're unreal. Literally, with the carrying the water and all that stuff. And you think to yourself,
the fighting, too, where he's like, there's 10 guys and they have to choreograph all their spears that are like stabbing Gordon Liu and he's dodging them. I mean, it's amazing to watch. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And it's like, look, it's fine that you made. Here's the thing: when Tarantino made genre movies prior to this, he always raised the bar in some way, or evolved them in some way, or brought back a dead genre, or did something. With this, it's just shit you've seen before. If put it this way: if you want to watch a kung fu movie, I'll name you 50 better kung fu movies than this.
Yeah, basically.
If you want to see a revenge film, I'll name you 50 better revenge films than this. I'll also tell you that the other movie this fucking just absolutely steals from is True Four's The Bride Wore Black, where it is, again, like, it is just scene for scene, beat for beat. And that, by the way, is a fucking that's a literal classic. That is a classic movie that inspired the likes of Hitchcock, everybody, and it's like you're just making it too obvious at this point. I also want to say as well, how like you always had the cool soundtracks? Fuck you on this one, bro. Actually, I don't know if it was because it got overplayed, but the whole the soundtrack was wiggity whack on this one. Like,
I actually like parts of the soundtrack.
I mean, like, put it this way: if I never hear that, if I never hear that again,
easily the most annoying song. That's easily the most annoying song.
But why did Tarantino put that in the movie? Because they perform barefoot. That's why. It's not even because it's Japanese or whatever. It's like it's just literally it's a female band. And they perform barefoot. And he makes, just in case, even though it's totally out, they're in the nightclub and she's getting ready to kill everyone. The crazy 88, but there's only 10 of them. They just thought 88 sounded cool. We'll ignore that. That's aged terribly. if you're terminally online.
By the way, there's I'll just for the sake, because there's a mild esports crowd follow this show. I'll even reference that someone, even as a result of Quentin Tarantino, had a Twitter banger, which is right now in Counter-Strike. Right, there's an up and coming team which used to be Navi's Academy Squad, which got bought by this Turkish org called Footbont.
Yeah, that was a banger.
So because they went well, Darth Mike, who I'm not even that big a fan of, but I tell you what, this was a fucking banger. When they had this breakout event where they were doing really impressive results against like the best teams, he just did a tweet that was something along the lines of like, call me Quentin Tarantino because foot have my attention or something. Nailed it.
Yeah, great job.
Home run. Yeah. Excellent work.
But yeah, like, so the if you look at
the saddest thing, by the way, I can tell as well, because this is where Tarantino is parody himself. Or I can totally see how if some of these scenes were made by like early 90s Tarantino, they would be mega. Like, I'll give you an example. When the bride's having a wedding, the one that's like in the second film, halfway through this one, basically, when she has that scene where she walks out and meets Bill again, that would be like epic if you fucking heard the haunting sound of like him playing that flute or whatever the fuck. You could see how he thought this was going to hit super hard. It doesn't at all, mate. Like, that's the other thing. I never get the core thing of Beatrix Kiddo and Bill. I don't ever get any emotional resonance from that.
No.
Like, I maybe get a little bit when you have that reveal that you still got the daughter alive or whatever. That's something. But like,
how do you feel?
What's supposed to, this romance that's supposed to carry the film never works for me. I just don't get it somehow.
No, well, I mean, again, there's too much of an age gap. Like, you just, I know all the guys, right? Look, we're all familiar with Leonardo DiCaprio's work. Great stuff, right? I know older guys can date younger women, and so even over time that relationship can endure, and good for you. But right, I want to make it abundantly clear: at no point in the movie is this all. They have no chemistry, barely any on-screen time together. Anyway, even in the scenes where they're technically together, they're rarely on camera at the same time because Carradine's monologuing or whatever. So there's never a feel of a romance. The thing that pisses me off the most, Duncan, the thing that fucking super annoys me, and I understand why he's done it, and I'll explain the reference for those that don't get it, but it's the Ironside music. You know, the bwee, bwee, da, 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 da.
Foreplay is sponsored by Raycon, and if you're at the gym, you may want to try the Essential Open Earbuds. What these are earbuds that wrap around the outside of your ear. They don't go into your ear canal, so you can still hear everything going on around you while listening to your favorite podcast, like Foreplay, while you work out. They're very secure. When I've used them in the gym myself, I haven't had any issues with them coming off, so they're a fantastic option if this is the kind of earbud that you go for. There's also, of course, the everyday earbuds that Raycon has. These have active noise cancellation at a price point that is significantly lower than the competition because obviously they don't have to have brick and mortar stores. They sell direct to consumers so they can keep the prices down. The noise cancellation works amazingly well on these. I've used these for hours-long bus subway rides here in Korea and have had no problem watching TV on my phone, listening to music, and it just blocks out all the noise. They also have an awareness mode so you can hear everything going on around you if that's your preference. Regardless, I think Raycon probably has some earbuds for you. They have had over 3 million customers with excellent sound quality. And if you don't like them, they have a 30-day guarantee, so you can try them out really risk-free. They also have a variety of insane colors, so if you want to get really wild, I just have the black ones, but if you want to get wild and personalize your headphones, that option exists for you as well. We really appreciate Raycon sponsoring Foreplay. The Essential Open Earbuds are here to help you crush your workout goals. Go to buyraycon.com/foreplay, FOURPLAY, open. OPEN, obviously, to get 20% off site-wide. That's Foreplay Open, 20% off site-wide. Thanks to Raycon for sponsoring our show.
So in case people don't know, and this isn't the explanation as to why it's in the movie, but there was a TV series called Ironside, and it was about a lawyer, he was like a prosecutor who got shot on the stairs of the courthouse in his spine, lived, but he's in a wheelchair now, shock horror, and he was pushed around somewhat problematically by a black guy who didn't say much called Carl, right? And and basically he was like a detective / lawyer. He would always go above and beyond, like Ace Attorney style for the weebs, for the weeaboos tuning in, right? And so anyway, the theme tune to that was as the sniper scope was going on his spine, wee, da, 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 right. So they've played that for every heightened action scene. Every time she sees somebody she's meant to kill.
Every time she sees a target.
Yeah, every time she sees a target, right? So that's the reference. Why are they doing that? Okay, let Richard explain this to you. In kung fu movies, particularly in the land that copyright forgot, like the land of Shaw Scope and Golden Harvest, what they would do is if they needed an action beat, they would just steal an existing song and put it in their movie. And most hilariously, in my opinion, out of all the Kung Fu movies that stole, there is a Jimmy Wang Yu movie called The One-Armed Boxer. It is a classic, possibly one of the most racist movies you'll ever see. Blackface, the works. It's unreal.
Oh, you sold me.
Yeah, no, but like literally, it's racist in the way only a 70s Chinese kung fu movie can be, right? Like, because it's not racist to just like one race. It's racist to every race that isn't Chinese.
And, by the way, as somebody who lives in East Asia, yes, that is classic
correct.
East Asian racism.
It's racist to Thais. It's
it's
people you wouldn't even think about being racist to. It's racist to them all. But anyway, what it does is whenever there's an action beat in that, it plays. Guess what? The music from Shaft. It does this over and over and over and over again. Clearly, Tarantino's seen it, right? And so he's like, oh, I'll just take it from Ironside. The music from Ironside was written by Quincy Jones, to be fair. And he's put it in there. There's a little reference thinking I won't know that he's also pseudo-referencing Jimmy Wang Yu's The One-Armed Boxer. I see you, Tarantino, and I raise you. I am smarter than you. I'm better than you, and I've seen more movies than you probably. So, yeah. I'm going there. So, unfortunately, that is super annoying because not only is it's not even, it's a reference to a reference. You know what I mean? Do you know what level of wank? Even
that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying you're on some wank.
That's what I'm saying with the Shaw Brothers is like the Shaw Brothers was based off the Warner Brothers logo, and then he uses the Shaw Brothers logo, which makes it like two steps divorced from the original.
The Shaw Brothers.
We're now in copy territory.
Just
and it gets
to show
really weird.
You, they were taking the piss. I mean, it is ridiculous what they've done there with the WB to the SB. I mean, it literally is one letter difference, and everything else is the same. But I mean, like, okay. When you are making that level of reference and putting it in a mainstream movie, and there's like one guy out there called Richard Lewis that's going to get it, like, fuck you, actually. I don't even care that I get it. I'm offended. I'm offended on behalf of everyone else in the world. That is fucking ridiculous, bro. Like, you are referencing, it's not even a reference. It's like an echo of a reference. That is outrageous, sir. You need a very special film if you're going to do shit like that. And unfortunately, this ain't it. I mean, part one is infinitely better than part two. But I think part one is still trash. I mean, like, having watched it back now, this is a movie. I needed the memory of this movie.
You're not going to believe this.
Go on.
We got so caught up on the last episode, we didn't even reference You Know Who. Bro, I just Googled it. Ebert gave part one of Kill Bill 4 stars.
Of course he did. Do you know why? He was the other guy that got that fucking reference.
Well, I can't lie, because he's been right too many times recently. Knowing he's back on his bullshit.
Had a good time.
I do want Salieri.
I'm right about Reservoir
As soon as I saw it, he did 4 stars. I got the Salieri. Oh, he's back.
No.
Tell you what, never doubt the boy. The boy will always deliver with it.
The weird thing is that he gave Reservoir Dogs a bad review and is now giving Kill Bill Volume 1
that might be the end. It's good job he's dead, because you thought Reservoir Dogs wasn't that good, but Kill Bill Volume 1's excellent. You know what? We've had enough of you.
Yeah.
You've done it.
If I remember as well, I don't have it in front of me, but I will bring it up before the end of the episode. I seem to recall he really liked the anime sequence.
Oh, no.
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure he said it was really good and it was opening Westerners' eyes to...
Yeah, the thing about the anime sequence is it's again, sure, you have this violence and you talk about the sprays of blood and the Sanjuro Kurosawa legacy and everything like that. But this had already been done for years and years and years and years and years in Japanese cinema. Like, it may have started in the 50s or 60s, but this had become a very classic trope of all samurai films by this time. And then it bled into, obviously, anime, and famously, they could make it even more bloody in anime, which is why things like Ninja Scroll exist, right? But at this point in time, what are we seeing from this anime sequence that we haven't seen if we've actually watched anime movies?
I've just read the review, and at the end, listen to what it ends with. And please, I hope if you're watching this episode, you watched the Pulp Fiction one, because you'll get why this is so bad. He ends the review with because he keeps referencing the idea that, like, Tarantino films are like parallel universes where it's all and he ends the review for real with the line, "Will Volume 2 reveal that Bud used to be known as Mr. Blonde. You are a fucking hack. Holy shit. We were talking about like dickheads on forums saying that. You're an actual legendary film reviewer. That's what you're leaving me with in
Reservoir
the review.
Dogs 2.5 stars. So why are you in this fan?
Yeah.
Like, why is Ebert, the man who gave Reservoir Dogs 2.5 stars, now writing fan fiction for Reservoir Dogs?
You know what? I have to read this part as well.
Review?
Here's the opening line of the last paragraph of the review. This is so offensive. It's almost as bad as Tarantino making this film. He says, listen to this question and answer. It is mental. He goes, by the same token, Thurman wears a costume identical to the one Bruce Lee wore in his last film. Is this intended as coincidence, homage, impersonation? Not at all. It can be explained by quantum physics. The suit could be in 2 movies at the same time. Actually, you know what? You are so wacky. It's impossible, Roger Ebert. Holy fuck, that sucks. It's even bad writing. And your whole job is the writing part. You're not even making the movie. Oh, he sucks so much.
I know. And look, just to also...
Why? 4 stars.
I know. It's the thing as well. Like, you just feel ill for having read that. I just see it in your face. Like, please, Roger.
I just wish I didn't. I wish I didn't know that as well.
It's terrible.
My bad. He gave Volume 2 4 stars as well.
Yeah.
So logically, this is just the perfect.
Yeah, I know.
To him, this is Lawrence of Arabia. He just thinks it's the shit. Holy fuck!
How could you give part 2 4 stars?
I know.
It literally is. I mean, what even is the best part of part 2? Real talk.
Probably the speeches at the end or something, something like that, right? Isn't that about all that's good in it?
I mean, is it the snake?
Actually, the Pai Mei part's not bad. Put it this way. Here's the thing. If you'd never seen any Kung Fu movie, you'd probably think the Pai Mei parts are pretty cool. The problem is if you've seen them, it's absurdly like over the top, ripping off. I know. If you've never seen it, though, you might think it's cool.
I did enjoy watching Gordon Liu completely chew the scenery and give that ridiculous laugh.
It. It's the best thing about part 2. That he was in the first movie as a reference, and they brought him back. He double dipped, and he deserves it. Gordon Liu is a fucking legend. I don't give a fuck. Put him in every film for all I care. But I mean, yeah, he is taking the piss. And like Tarantino was going, Gordon Liu was probably going, it's a bit much, this, isn't it? And he's like, no, it's fine. Keep doing it, God. Can you laugh a bit more insane, please, in everything? Can you watch her struggle to eat the rice with chopsticks? And then do a close-up on her feet. Thank you, Gordon. No, but like, what is the best part of the second film?
I do like the.
Is it her getting out of the coffin? Is that it?
I
think it sucks as well. I think that's trash.
No, I do like the Bud and Elle trailer scene with the snake in the in the
$1 million in cash. But it's also kind of shit. What if you just went sound?
I also never got that too.
I mean, I don't think we.
You yourself
made
like Michael Madsen this iconic figure. You bring him back years later when he's been doing shit film for this. Yeah. This is the part he gets. Yeah. It's trash.
I know, but what if he was Mr. Blonde? What if he was Bud Blonde?
Also, by the way, what was the point?
It's the way Roger Ebert says that, like he's at a sleepover, everyone's up late night. And what if Billy's actually, oh my God, can you believe he might ask you to the dance and everything? You're doing that about Kill Bill, mate.
What if Rick is secretly gay in Casablanca?
Correct. What if
he's
he
actually
was
just writing fanfic?
Mr. Blonde as well. What if he?
Well, the joke is, in this sense, he is like Tarantino, isn't he? Because just like Tarantino, he's at the point Roger Ebert where he is his own brand and he can parody himself and just get away with anything. Everyone just goes, I guess that's fine. You said that's going out like that. You're right.
Speaking of Bud as a character, what is the entire point of the scene where he's at the strip club getting chewed out by his boss for being late?
What is
never
that?
Goes anywhere.
What is that?
It also makes the character not that cool. I know. Surely the whole point of that character is supposed to be some like freewheeling badass. Well, I thought he's not very cool in this film.
You think, he's a deadly assassin. Surely this dressing down by a shitty El Paso, or actually it's in Barstow, California, whatever, this shitty desert strip club, this sad strip club owner, he's gonna like go crazy, right? No, just eats shit and walks away.
Well, also, can someone
literally, what is
the
point of that whole scene?
I said how in Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, there's like an idealistic or romantic undertone even to some of the darkness where you're sort of like, there is like hope and even in dark place. Right? What I don't get is when he tries to do that in this film, Kill Bill, it doesn't work at all. Like, wait a minute. So I'm an assassin. I'm here to kill another assassin who would want to kill me. Oh, shit, their daughter's walked in. That's all act on. You're just an assassin. You just kill people. Like, and the person's still trying to kill. Like that.
Mommy, I'm home.
Hey, baby. How was school?
Mommy.
Stuff like that is like that actually doesn't work. Like he thought that was going to land. That also doesn't land either. It's just the tone is. That's the other thing. The tone switches so constantly in this film. I don't know what he was trying to achieve.
Yeah, it really struggles to maintain. Because anything really.
A core piece, by the way, of revenge narratives, if they're going to be realistic, as somebody whose name is MonteCristo, what tilts me about the filming of The Count of Monte Cristo, right, in all its iterations, is almost every time they try and redeem him at the end as if, oh, he's just going to go back with Mercedes and he's going to live happily ever after, when literally the book is like, he ruined his own life through his quest for revenge. He is forever changed. And he realizes that he did this, and he's like, I just have to leave now. I'm going to go do something else. I can't go back to where I was. And yet at the end of this movie, they have to set up she's not going to kill the daughter, because it makes her a sympathetic character so that she can literally kill Bill and then go back to her own daughter, and people clap and think it's a happy ending.
The fact that she does end with a killing.
It is wild, right? But the whole point of having a revenge story,
you suck, Tarantino.
Guys, doesn't there have to be a price for revenge? Isn't that the whole narrative of every revenge story?
No, but in the end, she can just do one of the 5 points of death or whatever, and then kill him in also an absurdly egregious rip-off of Kung Fu. And at the end, just get your daughter back. Actually, it's a happy ending. Cool.
Pai taught you the 5-point palm exploding heart technique.
Of course he did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She learned nothing. She learned nothing from this entire 4 hours. Like, the problem is Beatrix Kiddo, the bride, has no character arc in this movie. There is no character development.
I don't know why. Maybe it's petty, but also just the name Beatrix Kiddo just triggers the fuck. It's just so shit. I don't know why. It just annoys me. Well, it annoys me how like cutesy he thinks it is. You know?
Honestly, as well, it's like that whole thing. What's the MacGuffin? What's the interesting thing here? A name never being said, which adds beep. It adds absolutely nothing. It adds nothing to the movie.
Yeah,
adds nothing, right?
You just reminded me that they beef it out.
Yeah.
It's so
it adds nothing, right? When it's revealed, it's not like some big thing.
You'd think the whole point was you beep it because at the end the name somehow reveals someone that, oh my God, she was certain. No, nothing. Just
oh my God, she's Mr. Blonde.
I know.
But no, it's not.
By the way, here's an example again, because at this point I'm just on my Ebert shit. This is where Ebert's whackness interacts with the movie again.
Okay, good.
He goes, later, L. Driver produces a black mamba snake, and in a sublime touch, reads from a webpage that describes the snake's deadly powers. That one wasn't really actually that good.
No, it wasn't that good.
You know.
It was actually extremely boring as she just read out her notes verbatim.
You see, he's going genius. Oh, better get that done about the fucking webpage. It's trash, man. What are you talking about?
I mean, again, we are leaning.
I keep realizing the more we talk as well, I'm actually shocked how bad this film is. In my mind, I never thought it was like some great cinema, guys. I never thought it was at that. But I thought in my mind it's like a solid 7 out of 10. You know, it's like it's got some legit parts to it. You know, it's a bit long, but whatever. I can figure. I rewatch it now. I'm like, I actually hate this film. Low-key sucks, man.
No, look, I knew going in because this is where I knew it was going to get interesting. I almost wish we were doing a 6-movie arc because you see,
if only in the future there might be some way that people who pay extra could get an additional film. That
imagine.
Anyway, but that's dream.
Yeah, I know that's just a distant dream where 5 play is the
sacred fifth play.
Where do you know? I ask myself that all the time when I'm in bed with someone. Where can you go after 4 play? It turns out 5 play. So that's so retarded. Anyway, point being, that right, hang on, I'm gonna remember where I was. Yeah, right. I wish we were doing more Tarantino movies so you can see how much he's brought it back, because I always knew this was the tipping point. This is where literally people just said, do whatever you want. They just said, do whatever you want. And Tarantino did whatever he wanted, and it was bad. It was, I mean, like, this is not, for me, a good film beyond, like, you might put this on in the background. That's the kindest thing I could say about this film. You put it on in the background, and there's like 3 or 4 scenes across 2 movies worth watching that you might
put it this way,
in.
I'll contrast this against the other 2 we did, Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. One of the reasons I keep emphasizing in those reviews how great the dialogue is and about how I don't care how slow paced it is, because when I rewatch a film I've watched many times, like those ones, sometimes I'll do things like, I know this, like, I'll just skip through this little, like, the next. You can't skip anything in those movies. You don't press that fast forward button one time on those movies. This one drags so fucking much on some of the scenes, mate. And then you get into another scene, like, and now this one's dragging, bloody hell, how long is this film?
When we watch Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction, you don't sit there and think to yourself, I have literally seen this exact scene before. But the scene in the snow where Oren Ishii dies is just the end of Lady Snowblood. Even to the point where she appears to be dead and then gets up. That's just the end of Lady Snowblood with the same song from the end of Lady Snowblood. Like, why am I watching this? I don't have. It's just like deja vu.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not even that. Here was the problem I had with the film. I got to the end of part 1, and then I remembered I had to watch part 2, and I was like, I don't know if I can. I like had to pace around the house, like build up to it, because I remembered that. Wow, if that's how I feel about part 1, the good half, and I think this sucks now. 20 years later, I can't do part 2, but I did in the interest of foreplay. Honestly, some of the least fun I've had on a rewatch. Part 2 is
also, doesn't that story
diabolical.
about the idea that they said to him, look, you're gonna have to cut it down? He was like, what if I split it into just cut it down? If there was ever a movie, I'm with you. This is one of the rare times where I don't want the director's cut.
I know.
Bring in some cynical producer, cut all the fat off this movie. It might be half decent.
No, but it isn't. We now know that.
But here's
we
the
now
thing,
know
guys.
that for sure.
When you talk about cutting it down, if he wants to make an homage to a kung fu or a samurai revenge movie, Lady Snowblood is only, I think, 90 minutes.
Yes.
It's not very long. A lot of these kung fu films are 90 minutes to 2 hours. They can fit the 5 Deadly Venoms, where they literally hunt down the 5 other assassins in a movie that is under 2 hours. I think it's an hour. It's like an hour, 45 minutes or something like that. Why can't we fit this movie in the same amount of time that those other movies fit in? And it's not like I felt at the end of those films, wow, this is really incomplete. I need more of this movie.
I've never sought out deleted scenes for this. I'll be real with you. I never occurred to me, and now I know why. I mean, I like to say, having watched the cut last night, the supposed ultimate version, it's somehow it's still as bad with less.
I mean, I will say the small mercy of the whole bloody affair is that because it was released in 2 chunks and they were released, I think, a couple years apart or a year apart, they had to put that scene with Bill at the end of the first movie saying that her daughter was still alive, which was terrible because it did ruin the reveal. So I did appreciate in the whole bloody affair that they removed that scene. It just ends at her looking down at her motorcycle into the trunk at Sophia Fatale or whatever her name is, and the film ends or goes to intermission, right? So I felt like some of the changes at least made the moment when she saw her daughter again significantly more impactful, but they had to tease that because they had to, titillate audiences who were going to be coming along a year later.
Well, that was the problem. There was 6 months between the movies.
Oh, it was only 6 months. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and so they needed a hook.
That's what I'm saying, is they had to have that. But that was a really welcome change when I watched the whole bloody affair.
Yeah.
Was that they didn't ruin the fact that, I mean, it is so terrible that they do that to ruin the twist. right?
Yes, yeah.
It's
completely.
It's gross.
Yeah, completely. But they needed. I think there was a genuine. Yeah, I think there was a genuine concern. Like we need to bring the audience back for part 2. Part 2 is all talking. So hey, look, daughter's alive. Yeah, she didn't lose it. It's all cool. Come back. Maybe she'll get out alive. Oh, she does. Will she run away with Bill? No, she kills him with that thing from Pai Mei. Everyone's dead. She learns nothing. There's nothing good about it. There's no price for revenge. Yeah, it's just a shit film.
Can someone also explain, like, I'll give you an example of one where I just don't get it. This feels like some George Lucas Greedo shot first. Why does he need to make that whole Crazy 88 scene suddenly in colour? Like, what was the... I don't understand what's going on here. It's like you've changed it for no reason. Like, what? What's the logic?
Apparently, the Crazy 88 scene, parts of it had to be in black and white so that the film didn't get an NC-17.
Yes. Yeah.
Apparently that is...
Okay,
so
fair enough.
It was never supposed to be that way. It was just the
Which
amount
is
of
crazy
blood.
Considering, like, the movies it references didn't have that problem.
And the weird thing is, actually, when I first saw the original Kill Bill, I assumed the whole point of why that's black and white is because then it's going to make like the blood look different on the snow.
Yeah.
I thought you were going for some shit like that. So
Nothing artistic about that decision,
no,
unfortunately.
it probably has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Speaking of
nothing artistic about this film in many ways.
I was thinking about your point about how they mentioned that there weren't really 88, right?
Yeah,
and this pointless dialogue.
Include that.
Can somebody tell me what the point of the entire dialogue sequence about Bud pawning his Hattori Hanzo sword was? Why?
Yep.
Why is it doesn't dimensionalize
Didn't
his
even
character?
get $200 as well.
I pawned that years ago.
You hawked a Hattori Hanzo sword.
Yep.
It was priceless.
Well, not in El Paso, it ain't. In El Paso, I got me $250 for it.
We have all of these lines that are about him pawning this sword, only to have the sword reappear when it's needed in the fight, which again is fine. But what was the point of saying he sold his Hattori Hanzo sword? What was the point of that? It didn't do anything for his character, and the only thing it did was make it slightly surprising when it shows up in that golf bag in his trailer.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Why there's so much wasted time in this movie.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like across the two movies, it just doesn't respect your time as a viewer. That's its cardinal sin, and that's fine when like, look, you want to like. Pulp Fiction's a relatively long film, but you just don't feel that. You're wrapped up in it all. It's shot out of sequence. There's all these interesting things happening, interesting bit part characters drifting in and out of the movie. There's none of that here. I mean, for real, the characters are introduced with like almost like a fucking monologue. Like every character comes with their own pre-baked piece of dialogue explaining who they are, and very often they're just dead. Like they're just dead in the next
It's also
scene.
I don't really understand why certain characters get backstories and other characters don't. We have a whole movie that is about Oren's backstory and how she
only for her to get sliced up, right?
To her ascent to power and then her death. But the first woman, what's her name, Vernita Green, dies in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Bill is the important character, but we never get a sense of his backstory or his power, or Bud, or Elle. So really, this is 4 out of the 5 get nothing, and Oren gets a whole movie. Yeah, it's the entire pacing is very strange.
But also as well, it's like you say, like, okay, if I don't want to go full anime, but if I'm introducing villains and they all have powers, and I want to set them up as like dangerous antagonists, that's going to be like a challenging fight. I might have to have them show off those powers at some point, even if it's in a flashback, right?
Yes.
There's just none of that. It's just a monologue for each of them. Codename Copperhead, dead, 10 minutes. What was her power? Don't know. Who were her big hits that she killed?
Which is also weird because that is one of the things that normally kung fu and like Japanese type revenge. The best that setting up like the big bads and the bosses, and you're fighting your way through them all. This part, that's also what's weird. You try not to make me go watch the other shit because I need to believe you did it. But if I didn't, what would I get the reference of?
That's what I mean.
Show me any of the cool shit.
I'll refer you back to the one-armed boxer, right? What they do here is, in that, there's a fight over birds in a cage, right? Like the dojo owner won't sell the bird to a guy who looks like fucking Rick James. And so he karate chops their best student's arm off. Because he can. That's his power, right? And then, so Jimmy Wang Yu, who spends the entire movie with his other arm up his jumper, like you did when you were a kid, to fool people with one arm, he smashes the fuck out of his one good hand to make it unstoppable, right? And then he says, I'm coming for you, Rick James. So Rick James goes and he assembles all the best martial artists across Asia, which is where all the racism comes in. Because the Tibetan monks, what's their power? Just a life jacket under their robes. They just swell up. Why? Nobody knows. Why? They have an Indian fakir. He's in blackface. Reasonable, I guess, just something that they did, right? What's his special power? Hypnosis, of course. While Indian music plays in the background. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. And Jimmy Wang Yu has the one-arm box, all of them. That's sick. That's all sick. You understand why each of these characters has a special power. You know, the Thai people have no feeling in their arms. They can just smash bricks with their elbows. It's great, but they've given them bad teeth, of course, but whatever, right? Like, that all makes sense to me. What's her name? Vivica Fox, the actress.
Yeah, Vivica Fox.
Yeah. What's her power? What is she?
No, well, they say that, but they say she's the deadliest woman with a blade, but then she's loses a knife. But Richard, then she loses the knife fight
and dies, and then she tries, if she's the deadliest woman with a blade, why is she trying to? Her Hail Mary is to pull out a box of cereal, which, by the way, says kaboom on it. Oh, I thought you were going with, Beatrix.
No, if you this movie is so corny. Like if you look at the box of cereal, the brand name is Kaboom, and then she pulls a gun out of the cereal and tries to shoot her instead of using the knife that she's famous for, and then she gets a knife thrown at her and dies.
Yeah, the deadliest woman with the blade, hoisted by her own petard.
Very funny, bitch. Very funny.
Well, also misses her gunshot. Totally could have hit her. Totally could have killed her, but she uses the weapon she's not good at. I don't understand.
No, I mean, none of this is set up well. And it's like you say, also pacing nightmare, because, okay, I can live with it. We have Oren as the big bad at the end of the movie. But, like, go through the fucking stages. The other thing you have to do is you've got to level up. You've got to kill the underling, the henchman. They sort of do that with the chick from Battle Royale with the fucking bot. She's dead instantly, by the way. You think there's going to be a cool extended fight with her? Wrong.
Just throw that character away completely.
Yeah, completely. And also killed in a shit way.
By the way, we didn't even reference, this is also
twatted around the head.
Like, this is unforgivable. Remember, technically, it's not even all in this film, guys. You have to go and watch that Fortnite fucking chapter that he made. That's real. He did that.
He did do
Yuki's Revenge or whatever.
Yeah,
like
Yuki's
that.
Revenge, yeah.
Tarantino, you have jumped the shark in every sense, my friend.
Yeah, I know.
This is mental, bro.
No,
this is mental.
This really is bad, unfortunately. And it's like you say, what does it? Okay.
And it's not even like it was Fortnite when it came out. Fortnite itself is some old shit now, bro. You're so far behind the pace. It's crazy.
So, on its own merit as a film, it just doesn't even hold up. That's the problem with it. It's like, yeah, I can hate on it because I get the references. Yeah, I can hate on it because I've seen movies that do all of this and better. Yes, unfortunately, like Icarus, he flew too close to the reference sun and his fucking, blockbuster smarts melted, and we were left with really obvious movies that I would argue anyone that was going to seek out Kill Bill you've seen at least one of the movies it's ripping off. You have to. It's like ripping off straight classics. It's not like
And
they're
if
not
you haven't,
obscure
guys,
anymore.
let me help you, because there's actually a Shaw Brothers YouTube channel that is
There is.
run by Celestial Pictures, which bought the Shaw Brothers catalog, and you can literally watch these films on the Shaw Brothers Cinema YouTube for free.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Probably none of it legal, but just it's
No, it's owned by as far as I can tell, it's owned by the rights holders, because Celestial Pictures bought the
says
catalog.
that, but also remember we are talking about China, so copyright not.
Look, I think that YouTube would have shut it down if it was not.
No,
especially
also
with
taps the sign. Chinese exceptionalism. They get away with it. They get to do whatever they want because they put all the money into everything. That's just how it goes. I mean, yeah. Also, it does have the sequel. It does have the sequel, Return to 36 Chamber, up there. So, not the original, but the sequel.
But it has the original as well.
It will do. It'll be on there. I mean, also look at Mr. Funnybone. That's outrageous. If I drew that guy in the thumbnail, I'd be cancelled. That's all I can say about that one. But anyway, but look, hey, I'm gonna find some good things to say because we haven't talked about some of the good stuff. I actually didn't understand Uma Thurman as a movie star, even after Pulp Fiction. I thought she was quirky. I didn't see the attraction. I didn't, sorry to say this, guys, but we do judge actors and actresses by how good they look on some level. I didn't really see that. Even coming out of Pulp Fiction, as I said in the Pulp Fiction episode, she wasn't classically beautiful in that sense. And she played a sort of subversion of what your expectation about, what the femme fatale / mob boss's wife would look like and behave like. But actually, I think she's she's probably the only thing about this movie. But she is the best thing about the movie. I mean, I actually do think she puts in a stellar performance in this film. I think it's physically demanding. I think not a lot of women, particularly ones that haven't come from an action background, think it's similar to what I said about The Matrix. I think Carrie-Anne Moss is great in that film. I hate the movie, but I think she's really good in it. And she's not from that kind of background. She had to really put herself through it to come out and do all the martial arts and the wire work. It's hard, man. It's a lot harder than you'd think. Wire work sounds like
Uma Thurman got, kind of permanently injured from doing this movie.
She did,
as well.
Totally fucked herself up, man. Really threw herself into it. But also beyond that, I think when she's afraid, I feel it. When she's angry, I feel it. The scenes with her daughter are very touching and tender, and I feel that. I feel the maternal instinct there, and honestly, she is the stanchion that pretty much holds
the scene
a very
where she
thin
wakes up
movie
for the coma and realizes she's not pregnant anymore is very powerful.
Yes, that's a banger as well. And also, I mean, just the whole thing with her legs not working because, she hasn't walked for a while. They're completely numb. That's a challenging bit of physical acting, that opening scene.
Also does convenient allow Towns here to have a scene about them move your toes.
Wiggle your big toe. Wiggle your big toe. Wiggle your big toe. Wiggle your big toe. Wiggle your big toe.
Please, just make it a side reference in these films. Stop making it the whole film.
I know that was.
I also really like Daryl Hannah in this.
Yes, sir.
I really like Daryl Hannah because she does such a great job of acting with her one eye and giving the crazy looks and everything. I think she's great.
She's good in it. I just feel the characters a bit too much. I mean, again, all the characters are these super broad archetypes that are just designed to be, again, like wink, wink. Have you seen this film? And it just doesn't work for me. I suppose she's doing the best with what material she's given. Like, this is one of the rare movies where I think Michael Madsen is criminally used in this. You know, it's like, put it this way, every other Tarantino movie he's in, he has an iconic part. Like, even Hateful Eight, which I know you guys don't vibe with. I vibe with that movie. I think he's great in that movie. I think he has some really good lines. And, you know, being the beaten down cowpoke is totally in line with him. This just doesn't make sense, like, tonally. The character is at odds with itself. Are you a washed up assassin? Fine. Let's play up the washed up part then. No, we're going to try and make you simultaneously a badass and a loser. This doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work for me, guys. It doesn't work at all, right? Like, you know, and also, he is the one who gets her. What does that say about her? You think about all the people she kills, and then he just pumps, like, she gets got with the oldest trick in the book. Is he asleep? Nah, rock salt. Now you're buried alive. Just as well we had that Deus Ex Machina in a flashback. Trash.
Also, as what's so offensive about that?
I also do hate, even though I get that it's a movie and you can say it's fictional, I also do hate that angle as well. Like, even if you punched you out, how would that then allow you to crawl through the earth? Like, there's all worth on you, mate. You'd be trapped.
But it's even that so you have an opportunity to do this Gordon Liu training scene, and remember,
which by the way is like 20 minutes in itself. It's pretty long.
Yeah. The movie that you are referencing is literally an entire training sequence, and these training sequences are so cool in this movie.
Yeah.
And what's your training sequence? Punching wood from 1 inch away.
I mean, even by the way, the classic kung fu that David Carradine's in is fucking epic. The joke is the opening pilot of that is as good as any film, mate. It's mega. It's one of the all-time greats, isn't it?
It has got a hilarious scene, right, where because David Carradine is meant to be playing a Chinese man, when he's obviously not a Chinese man. In the pilot for Kung Fu, a cowboy comes up to him and goes, well, looky here, a real life Chinese. It's like, it's David Carradine. He's the same as you. This is outrageous.
It's why there's even an angle I wanted to bring up very briefly, in light of the fact he made Once Upon a Time in fucking Hollywood, which is, bro, do you actually just low-key think Bruce Lee sucks? Because what's weird is, remember, Bruce Lee in theory was the one who developed Kung Fu. They took it away from him and gave it to David Carradine.
Yeah.
You cast David Carradine in a film where you also feature the Bruce Lee suit from fucking the classic one. And then also later you do a scene where you humiliate Bruce Lee in a later film. Like, what is the angle there, mate? I've never heard if there's a backstory to that, but there's something weird going on with that.
I think it was just that Tarantino talked to some stunt guys that worked with him. And like, this is obviously contested by the Bruce Lee family and the Bruce Lee estate, but apparently he was a piece of shit to the stunt guys. Now, I
don't know him. That could certainly be true.
I find that hard. I find that hard to believe because one of his stunt guys was Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan worked with him on the come up, and obviously actually did sequels to Bruce Lee movies where he was essentially the Bruce Lee replacement because of that connection. And he had nothing but good things to say about Bruce Lee. Same with Chuck Norris. Obviously, Chuck Norris knew him and sparred with him a bunch. I mean, you know, as far as I can tell, like the great crime that upset Tarantino was that apparently he went a bit too hard, and you know he was meant to be the master of control, but sometimes he did just fucking just leather a fucking stuntman in the face. But you're a stuntman, that's what you're getting paid for. Shut the fuck up. It's Bruce Lee, by the way. Bruce Lee twatted me. Oh, living the dream. That's a good day out. Like, obviously, like, mate, you tell that story in a million bars, don't you? So I don't know, but yeah, apparently, and that was why. Again, because the whole point of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is essentially like wish fulfillment and changing history and the power of film, and we can do anything we want within it. It was essentially like Tarantino redressing the fucking, you know, what the stuntmen went through with Cliff Burton. Cliff Burton got his own back on their behalf, you know. So, but I mean, maybe also because Tarantino is a pretentious wanker like me, maybe he just thinks it's vanilla to like Bruce Lee. I mean, by the way, those movies are fire. You know, Enter the Dragon is fire. It's still fire.
He's another one of those people.
Enter the Dragon's awesome.
It's actually potentially a good thing he died so early because he never made any shit films.
Yeah,
they're all good.
Yeah,
all mega.
I mean, obviously they did repackage some of them, but I mean, like, I agree. I think, by the way, I just think Enter the Dragon is like a genre classic. Like, it just holds up. It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how you can have a problem with Bruce Lee personally, but I guess. With referencing Game of Death and everything, it's probably safe to say he's a fan of sorts, Tarantino. It's probably just a bit too normy. You know, he's probably like us. He's like, oh, I've got the Shaw Scope box set, and you out here watching Enter the Dragon like fucking losers. You know, it's probably that. But yeah, I mean, like, Uma Thurman's great in this movie, but I think she, as a dancer, desperately in need of a partner. And it's not David Carradine, as much as I would love to say it was. Because I think David Carradine.
I think what's interesting about this movie
same.
Is I think like David Carradine puts on a good individual performance. I love his voice in this. I love his voiceovers, but it just, the lack of chemistry with Uma Thurman, it just doesn't work. Like the relationship just doesn't work.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And then you think, well, who's the second star in the movie? And like in part one, it's sort of Lucy Liu, I guess, but she's sort of barely in it, even though she's in it for too long. Like, if that makes sense. She's not like, she's just there. She doesn't really interact beyond fighting. You know, like, I mean, that's the other thing. Like, where's the, dare I say, heart to this movie? You know, where are the witty character interactions that typify Tarantino movies? You know, again, thinking about like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the relationship between DiCaprio and Brad Pitt is so key to that movie. And they have so many interesting moments because obviously boss, employee, but they're friends, but they also live in very different worlds, but they do deeply care about each other, but also in a way that comes with caveats and clauses. Super fascinating to watch a relationship like that portrayed and all the little interactions, and super rewarding to follow that through to its conclusion. You know, think about Reservoir Dogs, Mr. White, Mr. Orange, the whole duality there, you know, a professional full-time thief being fucking pushed into betraying some of his oldest friends for a rat that he didn't know was a rat because he vibed with him. That's super interesting. The boxer meant to take the fall, going to be killed by the fucking mob boss, saves him, albeit a bit late, from a second gang rape, right? And now they're sort of buddies, but also disappear, get the fuck out of my life because you're also a reminder. This is all awesome stuff. Kill Bill, what does it have? What's the equivalent? Who does she have a relationship with? There isn't anyone. There isn't even a feeling that she was part of a gang. You know what I mean? She just turns up. Oh, hey, yeah, I was one of the 5 deadly bitches. And I'm here to kill you, bitch. Shit, you better not, bitch. You're dead now, bitch. That's it. That's like there's not even a sit down and go, man, it was fucked up, and got to look at it from there's no, what happened to her was so heinous as well. There's no like rationalization. There's no fixing it in post or look at it this way or, you know, but if you we just did some fucked up shit. Sorry. Bill was jealous. Like, this is shit. There's no depth to this. It's such a superficial movie. It really shocked me. It really shocked me because, like I say, I still think Tarantino, this notwithstanding, I think Tarantino is one of the best directors alive today. And I think every movie he's made is a good movie on some level. What I've come to realize is this is his nadir. This is like the actual low point. I think Death Proof might be better than this. And that's just Kirk Douglas in a car running over hot chicks. Like, for real. I'm not even joking.
I don't even think Death Rew's bad. I enjoyed it when I watched it.
Yeah.
What's mad is I even included this in the era where I thought he was good. I even enjoyed his one segment in that Four Rooms film. I generally just thought would watch every Tarantino film. This is a whack one, though. I have to say, it just really didn't hold up when I rewatched.
Yeah, it definitely didn't. I mean, I don't know how much more I can really say about it, except that all of its
I think we've bagged on it enough.
Yeah, but all of its cultural landmarks, the that she shut me down, bang bang. Like, I'm just sick of all of it. Boom boom. It's all aged terribly in a way that all of his other films just didn't. Music,
this also
dialogue,
isn't a movie compared to like Pulp Fiction that people are actively quoting. What are the quotes from this movie? This doesn't have the same cultural impacts that
wakey, eggs and bakey.
That's just an American saying.
Yeah, but like he says it in this.
Sure. But I'm just saying that wasn't from this. We talk about how people still say Royale with cheese today.
True.
Does this have any real actual iconic lines?
That's what I'm saying. Is that it felt, if I remember back to when it was released, it was huge when it was released. People were talking about it. Everybody went to see it, especially if you were a young man at the time, this was the shit. But it hasn't had any lasting effects. It's not like Pulp Fiction.
Wait.
That people still quote to this day.
It didn't do that. Did it do this? Did it have a title card that said "Revenge is a dish best served cold"? Old Klingon prov. It didn't.
In the original, it did. Yeah.
Old Klingon.
Not in the whole bloody affair, but I remember that.
Klingon.
Yes.
Oh my God! First of all,
which is whacking itself in it because that clearly is not where it came
no,
from.
Fuck no!
Grow the fuck up, child. I know.
Obviously, that's going to be like, if you look into it, it'll be from like the Hagakure or Sun Tzu or something mental, won't it? It won't be fucking Klingon, will it? Oh my, fuck you, Tarantino. I hate you for this. I hate you for all of this. I'm like literally looking at the best quotes. Like, it's terrible. Silly Caucasian girl.
Yeah, when you look it up,
supposedly
a similar saying was from like a fucking French novel in like 1846 or something. I know, like, what a mad
them Klingons, though, eh?
I know.
Nah, this is AIDS. This is terrible.
You're referencing Wrath of Khan. Come on, mate. I know, it's metal in it.
No, I'm looking at the quotes now as well. It's terrible.
There's nothing.
There really is nothing, bro. You've hit the nail on the head. How can a
doesn't that say how much the dialogue isn't as good as the other films? As I said, the difference is in both Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, you're like, okay, I remember a couple of the big lines. Almost every fucking dialogue thing has either a point that everyone references or a famous like one-liner. Like, it's unbelievable how many hit you in those films.
Yeah. And I wasn't making it up either. She does actually. I thought she did. The copper headline. So when do we do this? It all depends. When do you want to die? Tomorrow? The day after tomorrow? How about tonight, bitch? I knew she said bitch. They all just calling each other bitches. This is shit.
Sure.
This is beyond shit, boys. Like, this is like it's like Batman Returns all over again. Actually, this is fucking like this is actual dog shit.
It's not as bad as Batman Returns.
That's not. It's not. Movie. I mean, here's the problem though. At least Batman Returns. Like, I hate to say anything good about that, but it was over quickly. Yeah, sure. I've watched 3 films for this episode. I've watched 3 movies.
Remember, a normal film running time is 90 minutes. This film is like 4 hours, 20 minutes or something absurd like that. Absurd like that. That's why also the idea that he then has the goal to go, I'm not one of those guys going out and say, I'm only going to do 10 films. If this is one film, fuck you. It's like 5 films, you loser. What are you talking about, you lunatic? Well, it's the last film's going to be 17 hours long. Is that the gag is on us, is it?
I never said anything about TV shows. Yeah.
I know.
She's fuck you. No, I mean, look, this movie will probably make you hate Tarantino, but you shouldn't. He's still amazing.
Luckily, they'll watch the other 2 first.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Handle it.
I mean, it's just as well we didn't end on this. Because honestly, I'm now convinced. Like this and no, Django Unchained is better than this, and I do not like Django Unchained. It's not I don't like it. It's just it's got more endings than the fucking Lord of the Rings trilogy. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, this is terrible. I'm really struggling. Outside of Uma Thurman's performance, I don't think there's anything redeeming about it. And it's like,
I mean, as I said, people tried to make the Superman monologue actually iconic. It just doesn't work, though. Like, that's actually a really bad version of a Tarantino monologue. It's not good.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you then. Is Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead better than this?
No, get out. No.
I think it is.
Here's the thing, it's a more enjoyable watch.
I say buckwheats for Monty on that basis. Another buckwheats. Buckwheats would be more enjoyable than watching this. Honestly, mate, it was 5 hours of my life. That's mental, bro. You even got the message. I stayed up. You said, after we recorded that Four Horsemen episode, you said, you're not watching Kill Bill now. I was like, yeah, I'm going to. And then I messaged you tapping out at 5 a.m. I was like, I can't record today, boys.
Crazy to try and do that.
I don't know. I just didn't think it felt every minute of those 5 hours as well. It was bad, bro. It was tough. It was real tough. And I love Tarantino, so whatever.
Well,
anyway,
we'll be back.
No, just to wrap it up. Final thought on it. It's one of those.
What would you actually rate this? Because I think this is, look, it's not, we bag on it a lot in comparison to the other movies, but at least this actually does show love to the source material. Like, for me, there are some fun moments. I do enjoy the Crazy 88 scene. Like, I think this is a 6 out of 10 for me. I don't hate this movie.
I'm waiting for Duncan. Go on, give it a rating. Don't you have your own Ebert style scale?
Here's the problem.
Out of 7 or something.
Are we rating this as one film like it is?
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
That's part of the problem. When it was split, I could sort of maybe forgive them. So if this has to be one film, the problem is it is actually one of the most egregiously long films that wasn't good I've ever watched. Yeah. So like this would have to be something bad, like a 5 out of 10.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be high for me.
I'm leaning more to, it's somewhere between 5 and 6, but it's closer to a 5, I think, than a 6. And I never thought I would say that because
what's bizarre is in my brain, I thought it was fairly inoffensive. You know, I thought
no, but I pussied out on the Matrix episode. Joel intimidated me, and I gave it a 7, which was hilarious in and of itself. After 2 hours of raging about how shit it was, and then giving it a 7. 7's a really good rating. I know,
I know that was a good punchline.
It was a good episode for that, but obviously the Matrix is a 6. Here's the thing. I hate The Matrix, as you know, and I don't ever want to rewatch it again. At least it was over. It didn't piss in my eyes for 5 hours. I didn't have to listen to fucking Michael Madsen monologuing in a trailer park about his shit life for 30 minutes in service of a character that doesn't even exist, so he can get eaten by a snake in the shittest, like, here's the $1 million in cash. You don't even count it. You just go sick. Why? The snake's in the middle one, though. I'll definitely take the middle pile. What? No, it's trash, unfortunately. It's a 5. It's a 5. The more I think about it, the more insult I am. And it's mostly because of the second half. The second half demolishes so much of what is done in the first. Like, conceivably, I might get to 7 if I hadn't watched any of the better movies it rips off for the first part. But the second part is like a 4 then. So you got to kind of meet in the middle-ish, and it's like 5.5 or something. So yeah, it's Tarantino's worst movie. It definitely is now. I'm 100% on board with that opinion. That's how it should be viewed for the rest of time. It was too much, trying too hard to be a cultural touchstone to show off his, overseas cinema smarts. By the way, it only can age worse over time because all of those movies are accessible now. In an era of Netflix, Amazon Prime.
I told you they're literally on YouTube.
Yeah,
just on
YouTube. We've all seen them now, Quentin. The gig is up, mate. It's over. So yeah, unfortunately, this was just like this is what happens when an artist is given complete control to indulge every little whim they have. The foot fetish shit is beyond a joke in this film. Like, I mean, actually the worst it's ever been. I feel sorry for Uma Thurman. Also sounds like she was abused by the predatory Harvey fucking Weinstein while she was making this as well. Like, which,
it was much earlier. It was during Pulp Fiction.
Well, yeah. I mean, so good on her for coming back to do this because it is a powerhouse performance by her. Best thing about this. But yeah, fuck, never want to see this again.
Well, with that. All right, we're done.